gonna show me how to get this money, man?
I'm still in a rush. I need to meet a client, man. But I've got something for you still.
Yeah, what's this?
It's got everything you need to know, man.
Hey, yo, make sure you're logging on, go and get the Hustlers Only book as well, man. So you can learn how to get it in like my brother S, you get me?
Respect, man.
My
Franklin,
brother
for
Malone,
coming
you
through
get
and
me?
doing this thing still.
Yeah, thank you, content over everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate you inviting me to be interviewed.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you giving me your time still, car. From doing my little research, I realized that you're extra busy man. You get me?
It's all good. It's all good, man. You know, got to support, got to make sure I'm, here.
All right, cool, man. Let me kick off the thing. Tell you a bit about what I do. You get me?
Yes.
And why I do it still. So, I'm interested in human psychology and behavior.
Okay.
And that's how I run my COE channel, you get me? I like to know how things are and how things work, why things are the way they are. You get me? So I like observing things, you get me?
Yeah.
I'm a man who likes to know things, you get me?
Yeah.
So I use that to try and predict how the future is going to be so I can know where to fit myself in with it, you get me?
Yeah.
And so I can better position myself to try and help shape it to more an environment that I'm comfortable with, you get me?
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
So that's what's behind this content over everything thing. That's kind of how we got started. You get me? Trying to realize that ambition there. You get me?
Yeah,
So,
it's very positive. No, I like
cool,
it.
man.
Very positive. Well done.
So tell me what you do.
What I do, yeah. So my name is Franklin Boateng, otherwise known as the King of Trainers. I am what you call a footwear or sneaker personality in the UK and Europe. So that's things like I post up the latest news, reviews, content around footwear and sneakers, for the UK and Europe, So yeah, that's kind of what I do. It's a lot of trainers, a lot of footwear, a lot of unboxing stuff. So yeah. Yeah.
And what's your philosophy behind, if you have got one, behind being in that business?
Well, yeah, I mean, my philosophy in the beginning, in terms of, because I've had the brand quite a long time, in terms of like, it was a nickname and it kind of turned into a bigger type of brand. And when I started it, it was more to kind of, let young people, maybe young, people of ethnic minorities, black people, to see that there's someone in a footwear industry that they can see and represent them, So that was kind of what I'd done. I'd done it for kind of representation. And also it was, because I'm what you call an old school sneakerhead. When I saw I used to go to a lot of these events. And when I used to go to the events, a lot of the young kids were kind of not, they wouldn't want to learn stuff. So I was thinking, how can I draw them in so that they will understand what I'm trying to teach them about footwear, not just consuming and buying all
When
the
you see
time.
events, what do you mean? What type of?
So there was a lot of reselling, so what they call reselling events. So events like where you would have a bunch of people go to that event and then they'll resell their footwear and items. So it was like kind of like a market stall type of situation, and it kind of grew to do bigger events and stuff
When you
like
see
that.
more time, when you used to see the youths them there, they were just there as consumers.
Correct. Yeah. So they will come to my table, and I was selling a lot of stuff that had history, and they just wanted hype, but when I'm telling them, look, this shoe, I used to have it back in the day, blah, blah, they kind of didn't want to know at the time. So I was like, okay, how do I kind of draw them into how they identify with me, and then I was like, okay, I've got this nickname since I've had for years. Let me just re-emerge that and re-bring that back in terms of the King of Trainers,
So, on that as well, the King of Trainers. Where that name come from?
So back in the day, I don't want to say how long ago.
So you don't reject the age on that.
Yeah, so it was a very long time. My mum used to love tennis, and tennis players like Boris Becker and Sampras and Agassi and stuff like that. So what my mum would do is, when I used to go shopping, she'll be like, oh, does Boris Becker wear these, or does this person wear these? And back then, most of a lot of what they wore was branded. So it was Puma, Diodora, Nike. So the branded stuff, and the branded stuff was very expensive back then. But because my mum loved the sport so much, she would see the branded stuff as good quality. So we'll go to the shops and she'll be like, and she said, does Boris Becker wear this? And it could be the latest trainer. And I'd be like, yeah, he does. So she'll buy me it. And my older sister would kind of edge her on, said, yeah, this is what, you know. And then, so in the playground, I had like, from young, I had like £100 trainers from young, you know, and then everyone was like, oh wow, like you're the king of trainers. So, you know, and then through that, you know, I would have a very nice pair. Do you get what I mean? Back then, we didn't really understand how to keep our trainers in, you know, like take care of them and stuff like that, you know. But that kind of led to going to America in the 90s and bringing back pairs of trainers and stuff like that. And back in those days, before the internet, you couldn't buy the trainers here, you know. So I might have a pair of trainers from America, New York, where I used to stay quite a bit, bring it back here, and it wouldn't come out here for like a year, or it might not even come out here at all, you know. And then that nickname, so people be like, oh, like, no, Frank's the king now. No, Frank's the king of trainers and stuff. And it was
from you as a youth, then you had that name there.
Yeah.
We saying before JD come with their team.
Well, no, so I mean, the JD situation is JD were, I mean, I have had the nickname since the 80s, you know. Yeah. So that's a long time.
Yeah. I don't know how long JD's been around for. I don't remember them being around in the 80s though.
Well, yeah, so they were, so the thing about they have been, you know, it's just they weren't in London, you know, until probably like early 90s, but they were up north and different places.
Yeah. And when they was running with King of Trainers.
So yeah, I think they started. I mean, I don't know the exact dates, but it was probably about the early 90s, or they used to have called her King of Trainers. But they're a retailer. So as a retailer, they were called us King of Trainers, but I was just a person in North London with a nickname.
Yeah.
And then through that, like, you know, I registered the domain names ages ago, like, and I tried to do a website back then, it didn't work. And then you know, when the social media era came, you know, because what people don't know is they stopped using the name for a period of time.
Okay.
So by them stop using the name for a period of time, it wasn't, for me, I didn't see it as, I didn't even know there was any type of infringement, but they went with best of the best and things like, and different.
Was they aware of you from back then though?
I don't know. I don't think so, if I'm honest.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just to put things into perspective.
Yeah.
How big are you in this game right now? Like in this scene? Or how important are you? Like how known are you?
I don't. You know what? I think that's really for the other people to say. But in terms of the footwear, the UK scene, I'm definitely one of the people who really kind of cultivate the scene, like in terms of I give a lot of advice, I give a lot of feedback, I give a lot of things, you know. And it was really through social media. So when I jumped on Twitter with the King of Trainers, I used to like post up my stuff on Tumblr and Facebook, like post trainers back then, like, you know. And it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a thing. I didn't think of it as it could be like a business. So I joined Twitter. I remember I had a social network called Fabs Network, and I joined Twitter, and I registered King of Trainers on Twitter. And then my friend must have said, like on Twitter, Nike, I won't just do it, add us on Possible Nothing. Why doesn't JD Sports speak to the King of Trainers, and added us both in the conversation?
Okay. And
then, like, I didn't think of nothing of it, but then the person who's running the account at the time started to attack me. Oh, you're an imposter. You're, you know, all this type of stuff. And we were like, what's going on? Like, we didn't realize it was a thing. So,
so when did you first become aware that JD was also running with the King of Trainers thing?
No, I mean, I knew about it from the 90s, but it wasn't
so that was after people was already calling you though.
Yeah. But that's the thing, because back in those days, we didn't think of conflict. You know, because I'm an individual.
You're just doing your own thing.
Yeah, I'm an individual.
About the ambition to be a big business.
Yeah. For me, I'm an individual. So it's like what we call quote unquote road nicknames, isn't it? You know, so you don't think that they would even care. Do you get what I mean? You know. But then on Twitter, when they found that I had the socials and the websites and stuff like that, then they started to attack me and say, "Oh, you're an imposter, blah blah blah." Then about 2 weeks later, they sent a cease and desist. And then they try to kind of take me to court, etc., etc. You know, I won't explain everything in detail because I know that's probably gonna get in trouble. But basically, through legal standings, they found out that they couldn't just take the name off me. Okay, you know what I mean? Yeah.
But cool. So that's how I'm ask you how big you are, because like
like you said, if man's got these names and it's just our nickname and all of that on road and all of that,
Yeah.
why is Big JD gonna be even bothered that there's a youth on road calling himself King of Trainers?
Yeah.
So what was he doing at that time that they would even care that?
Well, I mean, at that time, because I didn't really let people know I had the brand at that time, and apart from Twitter. So it wasn't even a thing where people knew me like in the kind of quote unquote the scene, which is the footwear sneaker scene. But it wasn't even a thing where people would be like, nah, Frank's the king of trainers. It was just like, oh, Franklin, he loves training, that stuff. But it was my friends from North London that would be like, nah, Frank's the king. It was like a North London thing. So I used to have a trainer studio in Wood Green. So people like Chipmunk used to come down, Marvel, PW used to come down, and they'll get a couple bits from me. One of my good friends, Manny Norte, the DJ, he'll come down and get his bits from me. So it was more of a North London thing. So then when I got onto social media, and then I transformed it into a social media thing, it became big. Do you get what I mean? Then people were like, "Rah, no, this guy really is the king of trainers." Because I was posting so much content. But like, I think what people have to understand, it wasn't when I would go to events dressed up like with a crown and a robe, and people got offended because you see, human nature is like they don't like calling other people king. Like people think, oh, why are you calling yourself king and stuff? But I'm African. That's what we do. Like it's a real bloodline in it. So I don't. And I never was the type of person. I've never been belittling. I've always seen myself as an approachable person. So people got upset without knowing the reason why I had this name and stuff like that. But on my social media, I would use it to promote other people or promote information. Do you get what I mean? I wouldn't never come and be like, oh, I'm the king, and show all my trainers and stuff like that. It was never about that. But then through that, my following grew. I started to get notoriety, and more so for the information I post, I was telling a lot of the truth, so I was telling brands, nah, you guys shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do, you know what I mean? And a lot of people were scared. They were like, oh, that's a bit edgy, Frank. Why are you saying that and that sort of stuff? But it kind of, and then I believe I was the first individual in the UK to get over 100,000 followers and stuff like that on social media and that type of thing. So
what do you mean? Why in any field, any genre? Or?
In the foot sneakers, as a UK sneaker blogger, I think I was the first.
Even that as well, the sneaker scene.
Yeah.
I want you to describe the sneaker scene.
Yeah.
What actually is the
sneaker scene?
But
so
before that. Yeah. We in the UK, we say Creps and trainers.
Correct. Yeah.
Why are we calling it the sneaker scene?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you know what it is? It's an adoption, isn't it? So we do call them trainers. I am the king of trainers, but it's sometimes you kind of mix and match, only because the culture is international. So I would say the trainer scene, the Creps scene, or the sneaker scene. So it's really kind of one thing, if I'm honest. I sometimes used to say sneakers because of my European people and fans, but they say sneakers as well.
Okay.
So Creps and trainers is really like more of a UK London thing. Do you get what I mean? Creps especially. But sometimes it's just an international thing. There's no real reason why I say sneakers, if I'm honest. Yeah.
So describe what is the actual sneaker scene.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say that the sneaker, footwear, crep and trainer scene in the UK, I mean, it was a niche industry because you have people who have what you call general release trainers, and back in the days, that's a lot of what we all used to buy, which are just trainers that are just in JD Sports, in Foot Locker and things like that. And then what happened towards the early 2000s, to the mid 2000s, there was kind of like different forums that would kind of cater for just people who loved a particular type of trainer, or a particular brand and stuff like that. So then a whole kind of community came of people who just loved trainers, and that community started to grow and grow and grow. And that became its own, I wouldn't say separate scene, because people do see it as a little bit separate. I'm always inclusive, but it became a separate like community, of people who just loved to talk about trainers all the time. Do you get what I mean? And then that kind of led to different events emerging. And we're talking events like in London, in Manchester, in Birmingham, and then across the world, of people just gathering just to talk about trainers or buy and sell trainers. And then that scene was seen as, they'll have collaborations. So then you might have a collaboration with Nike and Kanye West, and people talk about that. And then those collaborations started to get more exposure. And then that exposure led to kind of everyone knowing about the quote unquote scene. And then now everyone kind of they know about what a Yeezy is and stuff like that. But back in I would say not even that long ago, maybe 10 years ago, or just above 10 to 15 years, that scene kind of, the emergence has grown, but my scene was from the 90s, the 90s era. That was the best era for me for sneakers and trainers and stuff like that. But now the scene it's a number of things. There's so many things. You have events, you have talks about trainers, you have new brands coming up, and just loads of different things,
In terms of business wise,
Mm-hmm.
like how would you describe it? Like what's like the turnover? How much money does the sneaker scene quote unquote
Wow,
generate?
yeah. So okay, so when we're talking about the footwear industry, I'll kind of give you a real kind of understanding. The footwear industry is massive in terms of the trainers part. For an example, the highest personal tax that a person pays is the owner of one of the CEOs of JD Sports. I don't want to say his name and get in trouble, but his personal tax bill is around 160 to 180 million.
Okay, we're talking about in the UK.
In the UK, yeah, and he is the highest paying tax person in Europe.
In Europe.
In Europe, he pays the most tax as an individual in Europe, and he's the CEO of JD Sports. So his individual tax bill is 160, 180 million. So so as an individual, if he's paying 160, 180 million in tax, he personally must be grossing over 300 million as a person. So his company is in the billions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that said, the industry is enormous, and it is one of the few surviving high street industries, if that makes any sense. Because the high street is dying in terms of fashion, retail, and things like that. But trainers and footwear is, trainers especially.
People are going to try them one minute.
Yeah, it's booming. It's booming. Yeah.
So what about the resale market? Like,
Yeah.
in the front, because see, like me, back in the day, when a man used to come with like some unique pair of trainers or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, man used to be like stingy about where they got the trainers.
Correct.
Man didn't want to share no information.
No information, and that's what it is. That's how it used to be. That was the culture. Like for me, trainers culture. I grew up at a time when it was known as kind of street culture and black culture. So when I used to go to the States, or I used to go to particular places around London, I will always say it's the States. And I'll not let no one know, So there was import shops in tiny parts of North London or Camden or places like that. And you just don't let people know. Because that was I was like, no, you can't let them know where you're buying your kicks from. Because the minute they know, they tell their friends, and everyone knows the spots, So, I mean, it's crazy now, because that was before the internet. But now with the internet and social media, like all of the hole in the wall, what we call mum and pop stores or independents or import stores, they're all known online. So it's hard to find any real gems without someone saying, oh, I know where you got that, and stuff like that. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But when it comes to the resale market, a resale market is typically once someone purchases a pair, they go and resell it for a greater amount. It's a booming industry. There's a website called StockX, who's just emerged in this kind of industry in the last 5 years, actually. And before, eBay was the premier place where people will buy and sell trainers aftermarket.
So you done an evaluation about JD Sports.
Yeah.
How would you evaluate the reselling market? Because that's more like people, that's not as regulated as, I don't even know about how the regulation goes.
Yeah, so
that's just like a man buying trainers and
I was coming on to that. So so most people would talk about eBay. So eBay would be selling, I mean, it was over $1 billion worth of trainers every year, through like their channels. It was stupid amounts of money. But then what happened was eBay never used to take admission for any fake pairs. So if a fake pair goes through eBay, what will happen is eBay will say, "Oh, contact PayPal," and then PayPal will have to dispute whether the pairs are fake or not. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But then
They
there's
must have had a hard time doing that.
exactly but then a company StockX saw that gap in the market.
Yeah.
Then they started a company where you can resell on their website. You send them the actual item, then they check it and they send it out. And that company in 5 years is worth over $1 billion. Yeah. The resale market is.
I was going to ask. I heard a little bit about that StockX thing.
Yeah,
but I can't remember who I saw like questioning
whether they the real that I mean they have had they have had problems with legit processing and stuff. I mean
they ever sold anything as legit?
It's things have slipped through the markets from my understanding, but I know that the problem with the kind of footwear manufacturing is that once, like, say, for example, a really hot shoe trainer, like recently the Travis Scott. So Travis Scott, the artist, he done a collaboration with Jordan for the Air Jordan 1 highs. And that shoe, they had samples so early in advance that the factories that make the fakes can make a near identical pair. Does that make sense? Yeah. So when they make...
What do you mean? What they put samples out there?
Yeah, so...
For people to model in.
Yeah, correct. So what happens is, before a shoe is released to the public, there's always what they call a seeding process, and the seeding process could range from anywhere from Travis Scott and his like the Kardashians, and then maybe his friends and different celebrities. So, but with that seeding process, there's always pairs that are in the market, So there's celebrity pairs, quote unquote. And then those pairs somehow make it to what you call a bootlegger. So the factory that does the bootleg shoe will have, okay, this is the pair that came from Nike. They will take it to the factories and then they will remake it. Like look at the materials, take it inside out and remake it. The problem is that there's no quality control. But sometimes the fake pairs are near enough 99% identical. So this is where the problem what happened with StockX, to my understanding, I don't know the full details, is someone managed to get some fake pairs before they came to retail. Yeah. So then they got the fake pairs before they came to retail. So StockX didn't have enough retail pairs to compare to see if these ones were fake. So they flooded the market with fake pairs. So you have to be very careful now when you're buying. But StockX have, they put things in place, and I'm sure they've managed to get around it. Yeah.
It's probably always going to be that risk there anyway. So
it's always going to be there, with because the fake pair industry is a £1 billion industry as well, because there's even a quote, with quote unquote fake mafia. So if there's fake pairs, floating in the market, there's one, I saw a documentary recently. There's one guy, and he's like a known fake seller, and he makes up to 10,000, 20,000 a month on just fake pairs.
That Chinese dude?
The Chinese, yeah.
He was from England.
Yeah. Well, he used to live here, and then he went back. Yeah.
You see that one?
You see that? Yeah, correct. Yeah, so you know who I'm talking about. Yeah, and he didn't want to be seen. The mask on, yeah. And that shows you, like, you're making, who makes £20,000 a month? That's a phenomenal amount of money. Do you get what I mean? So we just got to be very careful with the whole fake pairs. But the industry is booming. There's so much money. There's so much money in it.
How does the actual industry work in terms of what drives the market, like the desire to buy these expensive shoes, and how much does it cost to produce them?
Okay, that's a very good question. I mean, the desire, I would say, is what we call hype. I think the hype is built up in two ways. So a bit by the brands, and then a bit by individuals like myself, if I'm honest, and the brands they may drop what we call seeding or leaks. So the leaks could be a picture of a new collaboration. Then you see that new collaboration on a celebrity. Then that picture goes out, and I think Kanye West is Kanye West and Kim Kardashian are the two best examples of that. Kim Kardashian might put a picture on her stories, of a particular new Yeezy shoe. Then all the blogs repost that shoe. Then that shoe becomes desirable. Do you get what I mean? Then the brands know, okay, that shoe's desirable. We're going to wait. We're going to stretch it out as to when that shoe can be released. And in the meantime, they're releasing other shoes. So people buy those shoes in anticipation for that shoe. So it's all a circle of hype. And it's consumerism. The world is based on consumerism. I've got to the age where I don't need to buy everything, you know. But there are some young people who are at that age where they want to consume everything, you know. So, oh, the latest Yeezy coming out. Okay, I need to get that. The latest, this is coming out. Oh, yeah, I need to get that. This is coming out. I need to get that. Do you get what I mean? So,
yeah, but I want to know, like, what, like, psychologically, what's in a man's mind that make a man feel like, I ain't gonna front. Another part of it is that, like I was describing earlier, when man get an exclusive pairs or something, they don't want no one else to know where they got it. Yeah, because like when they see other people with it, it's like it don't look as good anymore.
Yeah.
It's something in your mind when you want to be the only one.
It's an ego. It's an ego. It's acceptance as well. Do you get what I mean? Like when I was younger and I was really buying trainers, it was like, if I'm honest, for me, it was a bit of stunting. You wanted to be that only one. Like, I used to purposely...
So it could be talked about as well.
Correct. I used to purposely go to the shops, see the men's pairs. And it was back in the 90s, it was all about Nikes, if I'm honest. Especially in London, it was like, what's the most expensive Nike? So that's what I used to go for. And I would purposely go to the men's section, see the men's ones, and then go to the women's section and see if I can get a women's pair in a men's size. Does that make sense? Yeah. So then if I can do that, I know there's going to be no men with this pair. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes the women's pair had some bad colorways. Yeah. So that's kind of what it was. But back then it was to get girls. It was psychology of, yo, this is me, I want to stunt, you know? And that's how it's kind of moved on to social media. So now what people do is, some people, I'm not calling out any names, they'll buy a pair, take a picture for social media and then return it. Okay. Do you get what I mean? So it's that psychology of acceptance. It's being, because let's be honest, these pairs are £100, £200. You can't buy that every week. Like, you know, I've got mortgages, I've got things that you're saying, you know. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to, you know, like, I'm not going to sit here and lie. A lot of brands send me pairs, you know, and I get a lot of free pairs. I get a lot of discounts. I get all that sort of stuff. So I'm not going to sit here and lie about it.
And but it took a long time. That goes into the whole, how the industry works. Like you're a cog in the wheel. Correct.
In this whole thing, you know, I mean, where my position is, like,
so them sending you items, what's the purpose behind
it? So my whole thing is, when I started as a personality online, I was always a consumer. So I had loads of pairs before the internet. Like, you know, you can come, you know, you're in Tottenham, ask about me. I had loads of pairs, but as it moved on to social media, I wanted to kind of do news. So when a company, and it was Diodora was the first company. So when they said to me, like, what's your address? And they want to send me pairs. I was like, all I do is post up news. You want to send me 3 pairs? I was so happy. I was blown away by that. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. But they saw that if they send me a couple pairs and I post it, people are going to be like, whoa, he's got those pairs. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And they were all collaborations and loads of different pairs. So that kind of then, you know, and that was the first time for me. Like, I was always consuming. I'll be honest, I got, you know, I work hard, I make my money, I go buy my stuff. So the whole free pair thing wasn't even on my radar, you know, but when it came, I was like, okay, this is all right. I posted on my Instagram. When I posted on my Instagram, it caused so much hype. The brand, you get, I mean, it like catapults things, and the brand starts to get a lot of people, oh, yo, like, can we get a pair? And do you get what I mean? And then they pick and choose who they give pairs to. And then further down the line, a brand might send me a pair and say, we're going to send you a pair and we're going to give you X amount to put on your Instagram. Do you get what I mean? So that's
what do you want to sell?
No, to post.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll get paid.
So when they're sending you a pair, they aim for you to post on Instagram anyway.
It is, but sometimes they want to pay you for it as well. And I'm all for that. Do you get what I mean? I've made quite a bit of money from just posting pairs on Instagram. So I actually have a show dedicated called What's in the Box now every Wednesday, where I just unbox trainers, you know. And some I'm not going to disclose who pays me and who doesn't, but some are paid and some are done for free.
Okay.
You know. Yeah.
So you say more time when you see a celebrity in any type of logo, it's the same type of...
Possibly you get paid, yeah. You know, I mean, let's take the Kardashians, for example. So you've got Kim Kardashian, her sisters Khloe and stuff. Kim is averaging probably 800,000 to $1 million a post on her Instagram. Yeah, that's facts. You know, her sister's about 1.4 million. the younger one, Kylie. You know, and that's advertising. Because if you look at the statistics, break it down. They've got 130 million people following them. They've got more people following them than the amount of people in this country. Does that make sense? So internationally, there's no TV channel that has that amount of people following them.
Yeah.
So as an advertiser, you're thinking, hold on, even if I hit 1%, which is probably 1.3 million, I've made my market. So I'm gonna at least give her what she needs for my awareness, and that's how they do it. Not every company can afford to do that. Do you get what I mean? But advertising in social media is I wouldn't say overtaken TV adverts or print adverts, but it is now become a massive industry, and that's how money is made.
Mad thing. Going back to the resale business.
Yeah.
Give me the basic strategy of how it works. It's like, because my understanding is that you go and buy a pair of trainers, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then like they only release X amount. The less they release,
the more hot it becomes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the resale, because I used to.
And the price you get for it versus the price you sell it for.
Yeah. I mean, I used to resell, but when I was reselling, I was doing it as a proper business. You know, I had a premises, I had a location, people can come, and I had loads of different pairs. So I had different size runs and stuff like that. But I was reselling at a time when it wasn't called resale. It was just, I was just buying and selling trainers. The reselling as of today is people see a particular footwear. It could be a Jordan, it could be an Adidas, it could be a Yeezy, whatever. If it's limited or connected to a celebrity like a Yeezy, then it's going to have a desirability. So that desirability is measured on what you call the hype. So how many people are talking about it, how many posts are going up about it and stuff like that. So that hype now then moves into, okay, the brand is only going to release maybe 20,000 pairs. So we're talking 20,000 or 50,000, whatever it may be, but that's worldwide. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? So then you start to think, okay,
scarce.
It's going to be scarce. Exactly. You know, so then what happens is as soon as that product hits the market and it's sold out, the premium goes up. So for example, a Yeezy will be an average price £150. So the minute that there's no more, you can't get £150 no more, you have to pay a premium. So that premium, then it could go double. So someone has to pay £300 now just to get that shoe. So the resale now becomes double. So that's where the desirability comes more. And then the higher the resale, the more desired the shoe. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, and it keeps on going up and up and up.
So tell me some of the most expensive resales that you've heard of.
Yeah, so the Yeezy was the original Nike Yeezys. You know, I had a pair of those. I actually sold a pair, you know. So, I mean, I sold it like about 1,400, 1,200.
How much you paid for it?
£160 or £210. No, £210.
Yo, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and then there's shoes like one of my friends, you know, a guy called Sneakers John. He's we went to a barbecue recently, and he has a pair of what called What the Dunk. So it's a night trainer, and it's a dunk, and it's like a patchwork of all the different trainers, and that shoe is reselling currently for 10,000. You know, he purchased it for £65. Yeah, and it's currently this is 2007, and he is reselling for 10,000, and he wore it to the barbecue on the weekend, and I was like, No, he wore it. He just wore it.
And I still sold it for $10.
No, but he hasn't sold it. But that's the value of the shoe. Yeah, you know. But if you know about it, like the normal person wouldn't know that's the value of the shoe. He would just say, oh, it's a very elaborate, like very bright colored type of shoe. I'll show you the shoe on Instagram, and but the value of that shoe is like 10 grand. Like everyone knows, that shoe is hot. Do you get what I mean?
I used to wonder. Sorry to cut, man. I used to wonder why is man queuing around the block to buy trainers, fam?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I was in a mindset of the most I'm doing with a exclusive pair of trainers is stunting. You get me?
Yeah,
putting them on my foot and walking around. And man be like, "Right, where you get them from?"
Yeah,
ta-da.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's how it used to be, you know. But now the desirability comes in a kind of different way. The resale market is desirable. The price of aftermarket desirable. I don't even care. I wear what we call general release trainers. I wear anything. I don't care no more. But then you do have pairs that as soon as they hit the market, they sell out instantly. And then that instant sellout then becomes, okay, now we got a resale market. And that resale market is huge.
And this is just normal people in this resale market. Because like, if man's making the profit margin is crazy from what you described compared to when you're selling it in the store normal.
Correct. Yeah.
So it ain't enough like some of them companies in the resale market as well.
No. Well, that's the thing. You know, a lot of the companies, they have to sell it for recommended retail price legally. They have to. So when it goes to a store, the store buys it for, I think, 60% and make 40% markup, or 40% and make 60% markup. Yeah. You know. And they have set it for a fixed price, but then the resale market is.
But they know it's going to be.
They know, they know, but they can't. Feel about that. They can't do nothing because that's just the way.
But don't they play into it by making limited editions? And
they do. They know because I
want to know what's the benefit for them.
Well, for them, it
seems like just the resellers are the ones who's
so
who's
for them it holds their brand as prestige. So if, for example, especially with the Yeezy brand now, Kanye West has managed to cultivate that brand into a prestige where if you're seen wearing a pair of Yeezys, oh, you're part of this quote unquote hype group. Where it comes in terms of the profit margin and the money that's made, some people who actually now used to sell drugs are moving into selling sneakers, which is crazy. You get what I mean? You know, and I guess because it's legal, and I have no problem with that. It is legal, and you should find a legal way to do things. That's my opinion. You know, so it's kind of got to that stage where, as an individual, you can get into this market if you can get your hands on those pairs. Do you get what I mean? You get your hands on those pairs, and then you resell it, you make your money, etc., etc. But again, there are people who are in the footwear scene and retailers who don't like the reselling, because reselling has become a very aggressive place because now people can't get the pairs they want to get and stuff like that.
So more time when you see man queuing in them long queues, most of the people, if not all of them, are potential resellers.
Yeah, I would say most of them could be. You know, I don't want to kind of tarnish all of them because there are people who just want the shoe. You know, I'm
winning for the
stunning rights, and that's what it is. Like I'm of that cloth of I wear everything I have. Do you get what I mean? There's some expensive pairs that I've just worn and beaten up. You know, and just I didn't even know and then they just mash up in them. You know, and it's only now afterwards I'm like, oh my God, I had those pairs, I had that pair. Yeah. But now people are very aware with the information on social media and even the stuff I put out of the value of some of these shoes. So when these shoes then hit the market, it becomes a commodity, like you're investing in gold. Do you get what I mean? Like you've actually bought an investment, and this investment in a couple weeks or even that day, you can make loads of money. I'll give you an example. So Virgil Abloh, an American designer of Ghanaian heritage, he is connected to Kanye West. You know, he's done a lot of different designs and stuff like that. He had a brand called Pyrex Vision. Then he had a brand called Off-White. He was selected to do what you call the 10, which was a 10 pairs collaboration with Nike. So his first pair, that was the real hot one, was the Jordan 1 Chicago, and he kind of rejigged it around and stuff. The pair was crazy. So it's one of my favorite pairs. And when they released that pair, they done a whole activation, night and a whole activation, which was really good. They done a workshop, like a selling in Shoreditch, the nightclub in Shoreditch, and that shoe retail for about £160. So people will buy the shoe and come out of the store. There was an Asian gentleman outside the store from the Far East, and he was paying people as soon as you come out 1,500, between 1,200 to 1,600, I believe, for every shoe that came out of the shop. He was standing there with probably 20 pairs, and he had paid people, you know, because in the Far East they don't have the night collabs, they don't have what we have, you know. So he was then reselling it, from my understanding, I don't know if it's 100% accurate, I don't want to get anyone in trouble, for 2,500, 3,000 pounds on top. So he spent the 1,000, he's going to make 1,000 on top. Do you get what I mean? And from my understanding, that day he blew 20 grand. Yeah, just buying. Because
you ain't allowed to, one customer couldn't go in there and buy out all of them one time.
No. So he was offering people how much you want. And people will be like, because people didn't understand the value. And some people understood, but then there's some people who weren't of what you call the, they may not have this, like Virgil, they like Nike, they like the shoe. But then he was just buying and buying. And I heard that gentleman spent 20,000 outside. But then from that 20,000, he sees it as an investment. He can sell each pair for another 1,000 on top. He's made 20 grand. So it's and it's legal. You can't even get upset with that. Do you get what I mean? But then, I guess now the stores are more savvy to how they do things. Yeah.
How do people find out about like fresh releases?
Well, they should follow me, King of Trainers. That's what they should do. But no, I mean, in terms of releases, the information's out there on the internet, like everywhere. Do you get what I mean?
No, but ain't there like, you said go to you.
Yeah.
Ain't there like a source where you could just, one place where you can go, all of the different releases?
Yeah, so I would recommend, there's a website that I use a lot called Sneaker News. Or one of my friends' websites, there's Trap Sneakers, and then there's The Word on the Feet. So there's a lot of different places that you can see. You also have the Soul Supplier, that's a UK site as well. So there are different places that you can go to. However, it's all what you buy into. So if you're after just hype releases, sometimes because the brands know how limited and how much hype this release is going to bring, they may just be like, we're dropping it tonight, or dropping it just instantly without no fanfare. So sometimes that's how releases go. You kind of know about the shoe, but you just don't even know when they're coming out. And then they just drop it on the app, and then that's it. Even I think it's on the 8th of August, which I think is Thursday, they're doing what you call a sneakers app release for the anniversary of the app. So they're going to do like activations all over UK apparently. So
people are going to be running around like headless chickens.
Basically, yeah. Basically.
So who are the end user? Who's the typical end user that's looking to pay 10 grand? For
to be fair, I mean, first of all, the end user is someone with money, because you have to have a lot of money to buy into the resale game, and a lot of people in the Far East have that type of money. And then you have those people who will buy at any premium just to wear it, and they can afford to do that. But then there's some people that are real collectors, and be like, okay, I'm going to invest my money into this trainer. Maybe in 5 years' time, it will be worth this. Recently, a shop in the States called Stadium Goods, they done a auction with Sotheby's, and they sold pairs of trainers for like 800,000. For a collection of trainers, 500,000 for a pair, 300,000 for a pair. But now, some of these trainers and footwear have become real investment pieces, because it could be, for example, I think that the most expensive pair was a Nike waffle, and that waffle was made by a waffle maker by Phil Knight, who's the Nike founder and stuff like that. So they tried he probably put it in to make it look the sole like square waffles and stuff. And there's only like maybe about 2 or 3 of those shoes in existence. So that shoe then becomes what you call the grail of shoes, and then people wanna, okay, that's the first Nike, it might be worth it, and it becomes a collector's item. Yeah. So you have really wealthy people, like multi-millionaires, that just invest in trainers.
On the controversial flip side now, the stories about how much it costs to actually produce these trainers, and the working conditions in some parts of the world, and even like child labor and all of that.
Correct, yeah.
What would you say to all of that?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I've always campaigned, like through my social media, like the brands need to do more. The problem you have is the brands know this, and it's very sad that they don't do more about it. However, we have to kind of look at every single country and the laws that govern that country. The laws that govern that country kind of allow a brand, I don't want to say just Nike or Adidas, but any kind of manufacturing brand who produce items, to pay the factories this amount of money. Does that make sense? Yeah. If the law in that country said you can't come to our country and pay a worker £5 a day, it will not happen. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like the law is the law. So these companies know if we go to a particular Far East country, we are allowed to pay a worker £5 a day or £10 a day. If the law said you have to pay them the same you pay someone in the States, then it will happen. But it's the business of these companies to find the cheapest manufacturers at the best quality. Do you get what I mean?
Regardless of the human rights and all
and you know, because the laws of that country have to implement it. Do you get what I mean? Like, let's take example the UK. We have the law of minimum wage. That's the law. Do you get what I mean? So if someone is caught paying someone less than minimum wage, they can go to jail or get fined. Do you get what I mean? There's a consequence. But in these countries, there's no consequence. So if someone says, oh, I'm coming to a factory and I'm paying all your workers $5, and the government doesn't get involved and say, no. You come, you pay them exactly what they get paid in America or the UK. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So sometimes, unfortunately, we may put a tarnish to these companies, but the companies are following the law. Do you get what I mean? And the law works in advantage to them. Do you get what I mean? Yeah.
But who's benefiting in those countries that where the workers are getting paid a pittance or there's child labour and all of that?
Yeah.
Like the guys that's the governments and all of that that's allowing all of this. Like don't you feel? Obviously, I don't know too much still, but I know a little bit about Jamaica. I remember there was one time when they had like Tommy Hilfiger factories and a few different factories over there. And the black workers was complaining to the point where it was called a free zone as well. You get me? So it was like it weren't even like it was part of Jamaica.
Okay.
You get me? So they had their own laws separate from the Jamaican laws. You get me?
Yeah.
But then, like when the black workers started complaining because the conditions is so bad and the amount of work they wanted to do for the amount of money, they started importing workers from China.
Oh wow!
You get me? So like they were making no peace. You get me? I don't know what the government incentive is to do that.
I don't know either. And I think
a while in, you get me?
Yeah, I think the politicians and stuff need to be held accountable. I think every country that is implementing that child labor exists, or there's a lack of real money being put there, we need to kind of evaluate it. Like when these companies go to the Far East or different places and they see a factory, that contract for that factory can feed the whole town. So everyone in the town is working on that project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, because there's not much employment opportunities in these parts of the world, they kind of have to do it to feed their family, or else they don't eat. Do you get what I mean? So when these, so I honestly believe if the brands withdraw from these places, then it's going to
be worse for the people.
Do you see what I'm trying to say? It will leave more poverty, because when they do move factories, that's how these fakes actually start to happen. Because, for example, say we take, I don't want to pick on Nike, but say we take Nike. Nike might go to a factory in the Far East. They give them a contract to produce a range of shoes. That contract is so valuable to that town that everyone's eating. Yeah? Then, the minute Nike say, oh, actually, we found another factory, we're going to go to a different part of the world or a different factory.
It's a bit cheaper.
For cheaper. Remember, that factory's lost its livelihood. So that's when they start saying, we got to start making fakes to maintain. You've got what we have to understand as Westerners, people who live in the UK and different parts, we have to understand that these brands and companies that go to these places, out of no fault on their own, they're responsible for everyone eating. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So if we're too hard on them, and they start to withdraw from all these different places, it'll be real famine. It'll be real poverty, because these contracts are what keeping these people alive. Do you see what I'm trying to say? What the government needs to do is those governments of those countries need to be like, work with the brand and say, look, you got to pay us more, because the law's the law. You can't go to any country and do what you want if the government don't let you. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So maybe the politicians are getting, I don't want to say they're getting backhanders or none of that sort of stuff. I'm not trying to get into their politics, but they need to kind of understand, okay, are we getting a fair deal, a fair price? Because if the factories pay the same they paid in the US, most of these people will just produce it in the US, and then these people won't make any money. So that's kind of
cool, man. Wrapping up still, car. Time is short. Appreciate your time and everything.
It's all
Still,
good.
To the young black entrepreneurs that's out there on the road trying to get it in, and trying to find new ways of how to diversify that. May be interested in getting into this or resale sneaker scene. Creps scene. How would you say to go about doing that?
Okay, so from a perspective of how you get in, you don't have to get in through reselling. There's so many other ways to make money in this footwear scene. Does it make sense? So you have reselling is one way, but my recommendation is if you want to go down the reselling route, you should view it as a real business. Don't view it as I'm going to get trainers just to resell and make money and a hustle. View it as a business. Set up a website, set up a service. Does that make sense? So rather than saying I'm a reseller, you could be what we call a personal shopper. So you say, okay, I will go on behalf of these people to buy these trainers or these, not just trainers, it could be clothing, Supreme is pretty hot and stuff like that. And then there's that line, but I would say take it as a business, and then also there is even the blogging way, so what I do is I blog, I stuff like that. You can start to say, okay, I'm going to document, it's a bit even like what you're doing, you're documenting a lot of different places and that's in itself a business in itself, so you start to say, okay, you could go to the shops and say, look, can I document your release? Okay, we'll give you this amount. Do you get what I mean? So you start to view your hustle, everything you love, your passion, as how can I make money from it? Do you get what I mean? There are people who have set up footwear cleaning companies where they just take their friends' trainers and they clean up the trainers and they make loads of money. Do you get what I mean? Or they restore the trainers. So there's so many different ways you can get into this scene. And, like even with myself, I'm always open. I make myself available for people to ask me advice and stuff like that. I do get inundated, but when you can, if you keep on consistently asking me, I'll definitely reply. And there's so many different ways, but reselling is just one of the way, But I feel that young people who are on the roads and they are hustling, look at a different form of hustle that's legal in the footwear scene. You say, okay, I can make t-shirts. I can, what trainers coming out? Can I start a cleaning business? Do you get what I mean? There's so many different ways. Yeah.
I respect family, man. Thanks for your time, man.
No, it's all good. Thank you for coming down. Like, I appreciate it. Make sure you guys check out, this gentleman's doing some great stuff. So I'm very grateful to be on the channel.
Respect, man. Yeah, we're going to do a part 2 still.
Okay, I appreciate that.
One day.
I appreciate that. No problem.
Cool.
Bro, thank you, innit? Yeah?